Okay, so let's look at this case. This doesn't come across very well. I apologize for that. So this is a candidate that I rated as unqualified, and there was no evidence of psychopathology.
That's slide 41, right?
Slide 41, thank you. Thank you. In your materials, it's slide 41.
Page 14.
Page 14. There's no evidence of psychopathology. The exclusionary criteria I relied upon in finding this person unqualified results from their impaired social competence. Can you see how that might occur in these class 1 scores on the CPI? And my report focused on job-relevant criteria across a number of data points, not merely the psychometric rationale. So I'm going to show you my report on this case. I'm not suggesting it's by any means the best report I've ever written, or that it's even a model for reports, but it is the report that I prepared. So this is John Doe, and the report that I prepare, first of all, is a dichotomous rating. Qualified, the candidate meets the psychological qualification standards, or unqualified, the candidate does not meet the psychological qualification standards as a result of the following checked findings. And then is this in your, am I in your way here?
No.
All right.
This is not in any of the handouts.
No, this is not in any of the handouts. So the first category is deficiencies / counterproductive behavior. And I write, the assessment reveals substantial evidence of deficiencies in required competencies and or counterproductive behavior incompatible with safe and or effective performance in this position. The next checkbox says elevated risk of counterproductive behavior, and that assessment results correspond with an unacceptably elevated risk of job-relevant counterproductive behavior that cannot be mitigated by other reliable findings. There's also one for invalid assessment results and one for mental or emotional impairment. Now notice that the first 3 categories for unqualified have asterisks at the end, and then there's a statement below them that says, with an asterisk, in the absence of evidence of a mental or emotional impairment, the above checked findings derived from factors unrelated to a disability. Now keep in mind that under the Americans with Disabilities Act of 2008, the revised ADA or ADA-AA, any adverse action by an employer following a medical examination is presumed to result from a disability. That is, you are presumed to have made your unqualified rating because the person is disabled. That's the presumption. The burden doesn't go to the applicant to prove that. The burden goes to the employer to prove they didn't find the person unqualified on the basis of a disability. You will make the EEOC investigator, you will make it much easier for that investigator to reach the conclusion that you didn't make your judgment on the basis of an underlying mental condition constituting a disability, if you say so. Now, there are times, if we're going to be fair and we're going to be honest, there are times where, in fact, our judgment that a person is unqualified is because they do have an underlying mental condition that makes them, that's incompatible with service as a police officer. So one of those categories is sometimes checked, and that checked category says mental or emotional impairment. Assessment results reveal evidence of a mental or emotional impairment that disqualifies the candidate from safely and or effectively performing the essential functions of the position. So let's say the person has bipolar disorder that is still symptomatic or that requires medication that itself is producing symptoms that are problematic, producing unacceptable risks if that's the case, I'm gonna check that box. So I might have the first two boxes checked and the last box checked. That's the way it is. It would be disingenuous of us to say we're doing medical examinations, but we never find people unqualified because of a medical condition. The flip side is that the majority of our decisions that a person is unqualified, the majority does not derive from underlying mental impairment, but from other counterproductive risks and traits, correct? So let's just say so, yes.
I read somewhere, and I wish I knew where, that only 2% nationwide in the post-offer are disqualified for mental conditions. Do you know a better figure than that?
The question, or her statement was that she has read that only 2% of applicants disqualified at the post-offer stage are disqualified because of mental conditions. I haven't read any literature on it.
Did you do any of your own research?
Well, I can tell you that if 4.4% of applicants are disqualified at the post-offer stage in a bifurcated model, and I would bet the majority of those are not because of underlying mental conditions, that would be true. This is not frequently checked, but it is checked, and 2% may be about right.